The frog is used for the cardiac experiments because the frog is cold-blooded animal. Therefore, it can withstand the changes in temperature, pH and oxygen content of the blood. At the cellular level, the physiology is same as that of the human. Therefore, results obtained in the frog can be extrapolated. Third is it is easily available, cheap, harmless and easy to handle. Now, what is stimulus? What are different types of stimuli and why the electrical stimulus is preferred? Stimulus is any change in the environment that makes free energy available. There are four types of stimuli: electrical, mechanical, chemical, and thermal. And why electrical stimulus is preferred is because even in the body, the transmission of impulses occurs by means of electrical signal, that is action potential. Second is the duration, strength as well as frequency can be precisely controlled in the experiment. Third is stimulus can be repeated with the same strength and frequency. Fourth is tissue recovers immediately after the stimulation. And the last is site, you can control the site of stimulation. Now we'll see the differences between amphibian and mammalian heart, amphibian and human heart. Now frog's heart is three-chambered heart, two atrium and one ventricle, while the human heart is four-chambered. The mixing of blood occurs in frog's heart, while there is no mixing of blood in human heart. No coronary circulation in frog's heart, while the well-developed coronary circulation is present in human heart. Spatial conducting system is present in human heart, while the conducting system is absent in frog's heart. Here, SA node in human's heart, SA node is a pacemaker, while in the frog's heart, sinus venosus is the pacemaker, which generate the impulses at a faster rate. Now, the frog's heart can resist the changes in pH, oxygen content of the blood, while the human heart is highly sensitive to pH and oxygen change. The mechanical activities of the frog's heart directly recorded by connecting the heart at base of ventricle to the writing lever, that is Starling's heart lever or simple heart lever, with a thread which transmit the waves of contraction and relaxation from the heart to the lever, and which is recorded on moving drum. This is the graph of normal cardiogram in frog's heart. Now, what is the difference between electrocardiogram and cardiogram? Electrocardiogram is a record of electrical activity of the heart, while cardiogram is a record of mechanical activity of the heart. Now, different properties of the heart that are studied in this experiment are automaticity, rhythmicity, conductivity and contractility. Automaticity is studied by observing automatic beating of the heart that occurs due to impulse generation automatically in the heart. Rhythmicity is studied by rhythmical beating of the heart. Conductivity is studied by conduction of impulses from sinus venosus to atria and then ventricles. And contractility is recorded by observing the contraction of the heart and recording systole and diastole of the heart. Now here in the graph you can see different waves in the cardiogram, which represents the activity of different chambers of the heart. Here S, it shows the activity of the sinus venosus, or you can say the sinus rhythm. A, which represents the activity of the atria, and S is because of ventricular activity. Here this upstroke indicates the ventricular contraction and downstroke indicates ventricular relaxation. In the S wave, the sinus venosus, the contraction of the sinus venosus is upstroke and little downstroke. Here you can see that is a relaxation of sinus venosus. In the atrial rhythm, the upstroke is atrial contraction and little downstroke you can see here, that is because of relaxation of the atria. The contraction of the atria and contraction of the ventricles and relaxation of the ventricle have bigger amplitude. It is because of more muscle mass and more pressure generated in the ventricles. This is the graph of extrasystole and compensatory pause. Now you see the first graph, and here the ventricle of the frog's heart is stimulated during different phases of cardiac cycle. That is stimulated during systole and stimulated during diastole. While stimulating the ventricle, it should be observed that stimuli during systole is not effective. Here you see in the signal strip where S is given. Here one stimuli is given during systole. It is not effective. So the next contraction has come next to the first contraction. So here stimuli given during systole is not effective, but the next you see during the diastole the second stimulus is given during the diastole, and it shows the premature contraction. This premature contraction down, that is shown as ES. ES is extrasystole, that is called as premature contraction, and which is followed by CP. CP is compensatory pause. The contraction following the compensatory pause is usually higher in magnitude, which is not shown here, but when we are recording the graph, actually the contraction following this compensatory pause is usually more in amplitude. Now, to understand this extrasystole and compensatory pause, you should first know what is refractory period and parts of the refractory period. Refractory period is defined as time interval during which the normal cardiac impulse cannot re-excite an already excited tissue. There are two types of refractory period. One is absolute refractory period and relative refractory period. Absolute refractory period is a period during which the cardiac muscle does not respond to any strength of the stimulus, while in relative refractory period, cardiac muscle responds to maximum or suprathreshold stimulus. Now, the cardiac muscle refractory period, it is longer. Why is refractory period in cardiac muscle is called as long refractory period? Because as compared to skeletal muscle, the refractory period in the cardiac muscle is longer in duration. Duration of cardiac muscle is 250 to 350 milliseconds, while the duration of the skeletal muscle is 5 to 10 milliseconds. Also, in the cardiac muscle, the refractory period extends up to the end of the systole, where in the skeletal muscle, the refractory period is over even before the initiation of the contraction. Now, why this extrasystole is called as premature beat and why it is followed by compensatory pause? It is called as, this extrasystole is called as premature beat because it comes before the next normal cardiac impulse. As the next normal impulse from the sinus venosus falls during this extrasystole, and as you know, the cardiac muscle is refractory, total refractory during contraction. The atria and ventricles, they remain in relaxed position till the next cardiac impulse arrives from the sinus venosus, that is pacemaker. So this period of inactivity is described as compensatory pause. Now how this compensatory pause is advantageous to the heart. The compensatory pause is advantageous to the heart because it helps to maintain the normal rhythmicity of the heart. Now, why the contraction which follows the compensatory pause is greater in magnitude, which is not shown here, but usually the next after the contraction which comes after the CP, that is compensatory pause, is usually higher in magnitude. This is because of increased filling of the heart during compensatory pause, due to which initial length of the muscle fiber increases. And according to Starling's law, the contraction is of greater magnitude. Strength will be more if the initial length of the muscle fiber is more. Hence, the contraction which follows the compensatory pause is of greater magnitude. Now, the second stimulus, why it is not effective during the contraction period or during the systole. The second stimulus is not effective because it falls during the absolute refractory period of the first stimulus. This is the graph of effect of first and second Stannius ligature. All parts of the heart can initiate its own impulse, and to demonstrate this property of automaticity, this experiment of Stannius ligature is carried out. Normally, the impulse is generated in the sinus venosus and it is conducted to atria and then to the ventricles. This conduction of impulse can be blocked if you apply the mechanical pressure between the compartments by tying thread knots, or it is also called as Stannius ligature, at various sites to exert the mechanical pressure. The first Stannius ligature is tied between sinus venosus and the atria. On tying the ligature, impulses from sinus venosus is prevented from reaching the atria. It is blocked. The sinus venosus continues to beat, and the atria with ventricles, it lies in quiescent position, means it stops beating. After some time, the atria starts initiating its own impulse, and the impulse reaches the ventricles, and the atria and ventricles start beating independently, start contracting independently of sinus venosus rhythm or sinus rhythm. The rate of atrioventricular rhythm or AV rhythm is much slower than the sinus rhythm because they start contracting at the atrial rhythm. The second Stannius ligature is tied between atria and the ventricles around the atrioventricular groove. On tying the second ligature, impulse from the atria is not reaching to the ventricles. Atria continues to beat while the ventricle, it lies in quiescent. After short period, the ventricles starts initiating its own impulse and start contracting independent of atria. The rate of ventricular contraction is much slower than the atrial contraction, and it is described as atrioventricular rhythm. Failure of conduction of impulse from one part of the heart to another is called as heart block. Now the questions which will be asked in this experiment is the questions will be enumerate properties of the cardiac muscle. So properties of the cardiac muscle are excitability, contractility, conductivity, autorhythmicity, all or none law, and long refractory period. Which properties of the cardiac muscle are demonstrated in this experiment by tying the Stannius ligature? So in this experiment, the properties like excitability, contractility, conductivity, and autorhythmicity are demonstrated. Now, what is cardiac impulse, and explain its origin and spread of cardiac impulse. So, the cardiac impulse, it is self-propagatory electrochemical change traveling along the cell membrane of the conductive tissue and muscle fibers of the heart during the excitation. Now, origin of the cardiac impulse is SA node, and the spread of the cardiac impulses from SA node to AV node to bundle of His and to the Purkinje fibers of the cardiac muscle. In the frog, the origin is sinus venosus, and conduction of impulse is from sinus venosus to atria and to the ventricles. Now, what is the site of first tenuous ligature? The site of first tenuous ligature is sinoatrial junction between sinus venosus and atrium, and the effect is it decreases the rate of contraction. There occurs decrease in the rate of contraction. Now, what is the site of second tenuous ligature? The site for the second tenuous ligature is atrioventricular junction, and the effect is decrease in the rate of contraction. Now, other questions will be like, what is the normal rate for the sinus rhythm? So, the normal rate for the sinus rhythm is 40 to 60 per minute. Atrioventricular rhythm is 25 to 40 per minute, and idioventricular or ventricular rhythm is less than 15 per minute. Other questions will be like, what is the reason for the quiescent period following the ligatures? This is because of overdrive suppression. Normally, sinus venosus is the pacemaker and it drives the next chamber. That is atria. The impulse is carried from the sinus venosus, then atria, then ventricles. After putting the first ligature, the atria and the ventricles do not receive any impulse from the pacemaker. So these chambers do not contract. But after some time, the atria, which is next in the hierarchy, that is order of rhythmicity, starts producing impulses of its own. This drives the ventricles also to contract. So atrial and ventricle components are obtained in the cardiogram, but the rate will be slower. The second tenuous ligature is applied. The impulses from the atria stop suddenly, and now heart stop beating, producing its second quiescent period. After some time, the ventricles start contracting at its own rhythm, that is called as idioventricular rhythm. Here the rate of contraction is much low. Now, one more question which will be asked for this practical is, can you apply the such a tenuous ligature on mammalian heart or human heart? So the answer is no. Why? First, the ligature cannot be applied because SA node is, that is pacemaker of the heart, it is located in the atrial wall, right atrial wall. And second thing is, if the ligature is applied, it will occlude coronary arteries and heart will stop contracting due to ischemia. So desired effects is not obtained. This property of the heart, frog's heart, is all or none law. Here, this graph is recorded by tying the first tenuous ligature to make the heart quiescent. Then at the base of the heart, the electrode is applied, and the ventricle is stimulated with different strength of the stimuli, that is threshold, subthreshold and suprathreshold. So what is threshold stimulus? Threshold stimulus is minimum strength of the stimulus required to elicit the response. Subthreshold stimulus, it is also called as subminimal stimulus. A stimulus whose strength is less than that of the threshold stimulus is subthreshold. Suprathreshold stimulus is a stimulus whose strength is more than that of the threshold stimulus. Now, what is all or none law? When stimulus is adequate, that is threshold, the tissue responds to its maximum, that is all phenomenon. And when the stimulus is not adequate or subthreshold, the tissue does not respond at all, that is none phenomenon. Now, how this property of all or none law is advantageous to the heart? So, as all the muscle mass contracts as a single unit, maximum efficiency is obtained to maintain the cardiac output. So, unnecessary loss of energy in partial activation is avoided. So, this is the graph of Treppe or staircase phenomenon. It is also called as beneficial effect. This graph is also recorded by tying the first tenuous ligature, making the heart in quiescent. Now, if the heart is stimulated repeatedly with interval between two successive stimuli, not less than 10 seconds, the first few contractions, that is 2 to 5 contractions, progressively it shows increase in the strength of the contraction or amplitude. This is called as staircase phenomenon. This is called as staircase phenomenon. This is due to accumulation of calcium ion in the sarcoplasm. With each calcium ion released into the sarcoplasm, and if the next stimulus reaches within 10 seconds, the calcium ions may not be totally pumped back into the sarcoplasmic tubular system, and therefore the next contraction, which is increased, the strength of contraction is increased due to increase in the concentration of calcium ions, because the calcium released by the stimulus plus the extra calcium which is left by the previous stimulus. The staircase phenomenon also occurs due to increase in the temperature in the muscle during the previous contraction. This is due to beneficial effect. Now, what is beneficial effect? Increase in the force of contraction by successive stimuli due to favorable conditions produced by the previous contraction is called as beneficial effect. Now, beneficial effect is because of increase in the temperature, which decreases the viscosity of the sarcoplasm, and it also increases the enzymatic activity. And second thing is because of accumulation of calcium ion in the sarcoplasm.